All right, welcome back to Someday Soon. Today we are joined by a filmmaker who's made a name for himself through his creativity and just flat out putting in the reps. He'll talk a little bit about how he got started and what it's like to make it as a filmmaker these days. He is available everywhere at Lens of Jared on YouTube, Instagram, and the owner of Film Club Productions based out of Dallas, Texas. It's Mr. Jared Phelps. Jared, thank you so much for joining us today.
What's up? Thanks for having me, Mark. I'm extremely excited about this, even though
Absolutely. I'm excited to have you on. And, I mentioned to you before we got on, I'm a filmmaker myself, so I'll try not to get us too deep into the filmmaking weeds as it is. It's a show for everybody looking, to chase a dream. So hopefully I won't get too into cameras or anything with you. But talk to me a little bit about coming up for yourself. Everyone's got a story about, the moment that they kind of realize that this is something that maybe not even they wanted to pursue as a job, but just something that they really enjoyed doing.
My startup basically started, I would say, pretty humble, like most of us. It started as a hobby my buddy Tyler got me into. When I was about 15, he was going to film school and essentially just kind of showing me some things. We were doing YouTube skits and stuff that are still on YouTube to this day. Essentially, I fell in love with it the day that we edited one of those skits, and I sat there and I watched him take this blooper, and he made 2 cuts and he deleted it, and my mind was completely blown. I was like, hold on a second, like, this Backtown hillbilly just edited this video, and that was the moment I was like, this is accessible to everybody, like I can learn this at any point. And so from there it basically just turned into an obsession. I mean, like, I think I would be safe to say I have probably 30 to 40,000 hours in watching YouTube content, editing videos that have never seen the light of day, shooting and shooting and shooting. Like, I remember when I got my first camera, like, I lived on a 10-acre farm, and every single day I would just go outside and I would just film the cows and I would film the ants crawling on the fence and like just all these things. Like, I was just so in love with the process of filming and making videos. And I did that for a few years just for fun. I had never in my life heard the word freelancing. I didn't know people could take this camera and go make money with it. I thought it was either Hollywood or nothing. Met this couple at my church. They were getting married. They asked me to come film it, and I was like, sure, I'll do it. Like, that sounds fun. I did it for free. And at the end of the night, they walked over and they handed me $100 bill. And it was like the light bulb moment of like, oh my gosh, people can get paid for this. And at the time I was working in mobile home maintenance. So I was a maintenance man at a mobile home park. I left there Sunday or Saturday. Went to work on Monday, and I walked in and I put my 2 weeks in. I said, I'm out of here. Like, this job sucks. I am gonna go become a filmmaker and live with my grandparents. They are the ones who raised me and stuff, and both of them agreed, like, you're young, if you're gonna try it, now's the time. As long as you are working, you're not sleeping all day, you're not playing games all day, you're actively pursuing something. My grandpa was an entrepreneur. You can live here rent free. They even helped me. I owed my grandpa like a few thousand on this truck I was buying from him. He said, forget it. We're going to pay the $1,000 off on your credit card. We're going to just forgive this truck loan, essentially, as an old truck. And he's like, this is our gift to you. Just go after it. And I never took that for granted. I was very bullheaded. I was extremely aggressive with making it work. And at that time, a lot of clients were coming through Instagram. Instagram used to be a pop-in place to find work, and using hashtags and stuff, and it just slowly grew and grew. And Craigslist, I was finding work on Craigslist, and yeah, dude, one thing led to another. I think I always say to my wife, I think I was just too stupid to fail, because like, even when we got married, she was making like, I want to say like $14 an hour. I was bringing in sometimes maybe $500 a month, and I was like, wow, let's get married, let's get a house, I'm not quitting. And then yeah, just one thing after another, it just kind of continued to work itself out, and 8 years later, here I am.
Dude, I love that. And it really hit home with me particularly because I kind of found my way in the same way. Like, I had a neighbor down the street that was doing videos before I was, and we just became friends. And I was, he's editing on like Sony Vegas at the time, like making YouTube videos. And I'm like, dude, you can just do this. Like, you get to just like put something out there. And I had the same moment where it's like, okay, this is 100% like what I want to do. And same thing, just all in from there.
Yeah.
So you talked a little bit about, finding that wedding job off the rip, what was another early project for you that maybe got you, I don't want to say turned off to weddings, but you got you more, in line with where you were looking, and maybe a first project that you look back on now. And of course I'm sure you cringe at, but at the time you were like, this is good, man. Like I can do something with this.
Yeah. So it's kind of a sad thing because I've lost a project. I've lost a video. I cannot, whatever. It was on an old hard drive that I accidentally formatted. So I lost the whole thing. I can never go back and watch that video again. But I went on a mission trip when I was maybe 20, I think, I can't remember. It was like 2018 or something. And we went to Haiti, and they were like, hey, why don't you bring your camera and come film it? Like, you can film it and, that be your job and stuff. And so I was like, sure. And kind of filmed it like a documentary. And, like I say, I haven't seen it in, I don't know, like 8 years now. So I'm sure it was terrible. There's no denying that it was probably bad. But I think I fell in love with capturing the realness of the world. It was like forming a story. Like, it was really fun to formulate this, like, what am I trying to tell here? Here we are coming from this like land of make-believe, essentially, where the fridge is full and the AC is on and, we have everything very good. And I'm going to this place where the AC is whether the wind is blowing through the windows or not. And, kids are trying to find water and, we're there to give them water and all these things. And I think that's when I kind of fell in love with it. I kind of fell in love with that, like that I could take this moment in time. I could take these people, I could take their story, and I could share it with everybody else. And like that trip in general changed my life because it was just like a perspective shift of like, that was the first time I've ever left the country, first time I've ever been on a plane, all these things. And more importantly, it just gave me so much gratitude for what we have here and what I have and what I've been blessed with and stuff. And so it's like that in and of itself, like from a human standpoint was really cool. But then from a filmmaking standpoint, I was just like, yeah, we have such a unique ability to capture history. I mean, one day I'll be dead and gone 20, 30, 40 years from now. And, if the world hasn't exploded or whatever, it's like the videos I've left behind are there. And like, it's not even really about me. It's just like, it's cool that we're capturing the world around us. Like I'm capturing this house I live in and I'm capturing my grandparents' house. There's a lot of old footage from my grandparents' house and stuff that I can look back on one day. But yeah, I don't know. I just kind of like that project in and of itself, like it was probably the first time that I was just like, this is sick. Like this, what we're doing is cool.
That's a beautiful thing, man. I think people got to look at that more frequently and think about, remind themselves that not every project has to make you money. And some things are just, are going to outlive you if only for a feeling. Like I even look back at it. I made a video about the first apartment I had with my girlfriend. And at the time I made the video, it's like 40 seconds long. I made it as like a little thing to shoot and practice. And I look back and it was literally only like 8 months ago. And I look at it now already and I'm like, man, I'm so glad I did that. And it's like a piece of me and a piece of my life that, gets to live on in this video.
And you think about the memories you've made there and stuff. And like, especially like, I don't know if you decide to have kids one day or if you have kids or whatever, but like, even just like, dude, do you know how much money I would pay to go and watch footage of my grandparents at my age, like hustling to make it, figuring out parenthood, trying to like survive the economy and all the impending dooms that are happening? Like, do you know how much money I would pay to see that? And, like, see my grandparents young and outside playing and throwing the football around. Like what we're doing now is like such a gift to the future generations. And, I try to capture my kid as much as I possibly can. And I just return the favor. And maybe he never cares. Maybe one day he just never cares. But maybe, if we have grandkids one day, maybe they care or something. But yeah, even just for yourself, like it's something so simple as like going back and looking at an apartment, like even just 8 months, like how you're feeling a certain way. Imagine in 10 years, you're like, oh my gosh, look at the apartment we used to live in. Like, yeah. So I love that.
Yeah. It's a beautiful thing, man. And I think something I struggle with at times, and I'm sure yourself and other filmmakers can agree, or content creators, the struggle of living in the moment and living life and also capturing it. And at what point does capturing get in the way of living? Do you find yourself, especially with the YouTube channel now, that you're trying to document a lot of your journey and a lot of your process, building this company? Where do you, land on that debate? How do you, delineate like this is something I want to capture for the future versus this is something that I just want to live in at the moment?
Yeah, I think it's a constant quarrel because it's kind of like I think it really depends on the person. A long time ago, and I'm pretty sure if you scrolled far enough down on my YouTube channel, you'll see these old vlogs. And it was daily vlogs, and I was filming everything we were doing. Me and my wife going to like Houston and whatever, doing all these different things. And I remember like, I don't know how long, I don't think I did it very long because it was fun at first when it was exciting. And then it got to a point where I was like, man, I'm so worried about these vlogs and filming it and making sure we're doing something cool and capturing all these things that like I am so absent-minded in the moment because I'm so worried about making sure the batteries are charged and enough footage on the SD card and all these things. So it's like I ended up like obviously quitting that, and then it kind of got to the point even where I don't really even take my camera anywhere. Like if we travel, like we went to Switzerland 2 years ago. And then I took my Fujifilm. My wife bought me a Fujifilm X-T4. So I took that just because like it's a little difficult to shoot with. It's a great camera, but there's enough friction where I don't like delineate on it. And so like when I pulled it out and I'd take a photo or whatever, and I was doing a little bit of street photography or take a couple videos, that's all it was. It was just for a moment I was capturing something and then I'd go back to being in the moment. So I think like for me, on the YouTube channel now, I like have made a very clear line. Like family and what I do with family and all those things have no place in these YouTube videos. Like I don't want to show us going to Disney World. I don't want to show all these things. I may talk about it briefly, but it's not the point of the video or whatever to show it because I don't want it to take away from what I'm trying to do. I would much rather pick up my phone and film my son and put the phone back in my pocket than be worrying about all his camera gear. And so for me, it's not that hard. I have separated capturing personal life, and I have no problem being at the park with my son or something and not capturing a thing. I'm being selfish. It's purely that moment is for me and me alone. And I don't need to capture everything because I don't care who you are or what you say. When you're worried about capturing it, you're not being in it. And so I think you have to find a fine balance. And so, yeah, the YouTube channel is purely what I'm doing day to day. And yeah, at times it can be kind of annoying to like be in the middle of like working and be like, oh, I need to film this because this is important to like for context or something. Like that part could be annoying. But again, going back to the grand scheme of things, if that's the most annoying thing in my day, then I'm doing pretty good.
Right. Yeah, I agree with you. I think it's a constant struggle that we're all going to live with, especially now that phones are as good as they are. Basically every human being is now tasked with dealing with, do I capture this or do I live this? And it's like an interesting thing. And I went through a phase also like in college and late in high school where it's like, oh, I gotta vlog this or I gotta, and obviously that did not live on very long because I was just not as big a fan. But especially in those early days, you kind of just find things that you think are going to work for you, or you obsess over things that you think are going to work for you and you don't really know. Can you think back to, something that you obsessed over early in your career, or maybe even something you just see younger creators and filmmakers obsessing over early in their careers now that just is unimportant, it doesn't matter, or people are putting just way too much stock into?
Yeah, I would say like, I don't know what I obsessed over back then that I would say didn't amount to like much in the grand scheme, because I think for me, I was so obsessed with editing at the time. Like I used to be really obsessed with editing, and I honestly am glad I was, because I think that's where I got my chops from, and I've been surpassed, tenfold now by these new editors and stuff. But at the time, it's what got me going and got me started and what got me noticed. And I think now the current generation, I think the thing that they have to struggle with and they have to fight through, that we didn't, or I didn't, or whatever, is social media. Like when we were starting out, how old are you?
20, oh, gee, I don't even know, 27, about to turn 28.
Okay, so we're close to the same thing. So we were going through the same things. So when we were coming up, we weren't worried about followers on Instagram and making shorts and all these things. It meant nothing. Like it was like so far past my will of thought. Now people are so obsessed with it. I find myself included, 30 years old now, and like I'm obsessed over followers and growth on social media. And it's a weird thing of validation. And I remember a few years ago, I met this guy. He was talking himself up. He did all these big projects and stuff. I go to his Instagram. He has like 200 followers. I'm like, dude, this guy is such a liar. I'm following him. A couple weeks go by. Boom, there he is working with an A-list celeb. And I was like, it's all a lie. Like all this is a lie. This guy's actually doing it, but he doesn't need to post about it. He's getting it because he's networking correctly. And I think the new gen is so obsessed with pumping out content for social media, and it's not their fault. They were kind of trained to be this way. They're trained on the algorithm. They're trained to constantly post and become a content machine. That the line of growth, I think, is very strange because I think it stagnates way faster than people think. The biggest skill I see people losing, or young generations are losing, is the ability to see a full process. How do you take like a really cool Instagram reel? You see, like let's say it's a trending effect. You see that effect, you copy the effect like almost bar for bar, like how they shot it, how they do it, but you never implement that effect anywhere else. And it's like you're not learning how to take skills and put them somewhere else. Like people are getting obsessed with like social media hitting a trending video and stuff, and people are making money off of it, so that's cool. But I think like the ultimate reality is like you should be using social media or Instagram or whatever as a tool for growth, as a tool for learning, skill development, and challenge yourself. When you see a cool video, figure out why it was cool and take that idea and turn it into your own thing. Like figure out what made it cool and implement that. And that's how you start to grow your own style and personality. But I think Instagram in general has kind of created a copycat culture. It's just, we're always copying each other because it's good for the algorithm.
For sure. For sure. Yeah. I'm definitely a person that struggles to, put my stuff on Instagram and on social media. Like it's just not something. I feel like I'm one of those people that if it weren't for filmmaking, I would not be on social media. Like
Yeah,
I just don't put my personal life on there. And so I often struggle with that. But then at the same token, I feel like, and from an outsider's perspective, just watching your videos, I feel like you might be similar where we put our work out there, but a lot of times the work we're getting is not coming from, it's not like someone saw my video on social media and they're calling me up to hire me. It's, people I've met on other jobs or people that I've worked for in other places. So how do you balance, putting all that work, that time and effort into growing social media, which I know has kind of been something you've been focusing more on, at least in your videos this year so far? And what is the goal with those social media accounts? And if it was in a perfect world, where do those social media accounts take you and what do they do for your business?
Yeah. So, I mean, like, since you watch the vlogs, I just show everything I'm doing. And it's not like, I'm not showing like, oh, this thing worked, so do it. I'm just showing you like, hey, I'm just doing this thing and seeing what happens. And originally the idea was, okay, I'm going to grow this Instagram account. It's going to give me the validity I need and the authority. Big companies are then going to reach out to me. Boom, successful production company. The more I did it, the more I learned. That's just not the truth. Like, because at the end of the day, like as I'm trying to build a production company, I'm still one guy. I'm not doing big production things. You're gonna attract the clients that you're posting to, essentially. And so I'm not posting big brand work that Adidas looks at and goes, we gotta have this guy for our next project. I'm just posting reels. And so I took a step back, like I think it was last week, and just looked at it and I was like, okay, what I'm doing right now is cool. I'm growing a platform and it's growing steadily on Instagram and I'm having fun with it. So I'm going to dilute my ideas down from this needs to grow my business and make me a ton of money to this just needs to be a place to have fun. And that's what it is. And like this week, I don't think I've posted a single video and it's kind of like, I don't feel the pressure. I don't care. I still have this goal. I have it written right here, 25,000 followers this year. If it happens, it happens. But again, just taking a step back to look at it and go like, what is the point of this? Like, am I using my resources correctly by doing this? Because like I can spend all day making a batch of Instagram videos and then they're gone like that. And it requires so much time and effort and stuff. And so, yeah, now just looking at it, it's just a creative playground. And I think that everybody needs something like that. And so when I feel a spark of creativity, Instagram is the place it goes to because there's no real pressure in posting there. So for me, it's fun. It originally started with build a production company and has kind of evolved into like this side creative project.
Yeah, to me, I mean, I don't know anything. I'm no voice of reason when it comes to social media, but to me, that seems like a very healthy way to do it because we've all seen people take it way too seriously and put way too much stock in it, and like at the end of the day, you can give it your best effort, but really you just have to love the process because you can never really control that outcome of that. But speaking of the channel, I'm really enjoying the style that you're pursuing here, where I feel like the YouTube that we grew up with and the YouTube that of, you know, even 5 years ago or so was a different model where if you're posting videos on YouTube, kind of the idea is I'm going to blow up, and, you know, the only way that this is successful is if I have millions of subscribers and I'm a YouTuber, and like that's the title that you're looking for at the end of it, and that's the goal. And these days, you know, you're seeing a lot more people use it as a marketing tool, as a community building tool, as just a place to go on and say, hey, I'm not, you know, a higher power trying to tell you what to do, but here's stuff that's worked for me, and here's stuff that I feel like I should share. And I feel like you're a perfect example of that. What has it been like for you going into what I feel like is a completely new age of YouTube, you know, being ushered in with a lot of these people that are just going on and saying, hey, I'm not, you know, no one needs to be kissing my feet. I'm just here to share some experiences. And what's that been like for you to build that community?
Yeah, so I mean, I say it all the time. I attribute so much of the ideas or the startup to David Moorfield, because he's kind of the one that started this whole idea. Well, he'll say Cranky Man started it, and Cranky Man will say, or Cranky Cameraman will say someone else started it. But for me, it was David. And so I got so attracted to his style of videos because there was no fluff. It was very little editing. It was like a breath of fresh air. I was like, I'm just going to sit back and watch this guy do his day. And especially when I was getting back into freelancing, like 3 years ago, I think at this point, and my chops were not up because I'd been working full time as a video guy for so long that it was almost like I was getting to shadow this guy. I'm getting to learn from this guy. He's giving so much free information, and it was like a comfort blanket. It was like I watched him do a shoot, and I go, okay, I can go do this shoot. All he had was one light, one camera. Okay, so, you know, we could take a step back. Now everything has to be a big production. And so with that, it started out with, I'm just going to copy this guy, basically bar for bar. I'm going to just show my day. And I thought my point of view would be interesting because I was starting over. And so that's where I was like, this could be fun for anybody, because how do you grow client base? How do you find clients? How do you do reach out and stuff? And, you know, if you start at the first vlog when I started years ago, I think it's like titled 001 in the vlog, you'll see like it was when I moved back in with my grandparents. After we moved back from Utah, moved in with my grandparents, my childhood bedroom with my wife and my 1-year-old son at the time, tiny bedroom, into now our own house. I have my own office and so on stuff. And I say that to say, like, you kind of see it all evolve, because it starts out with, here I am just making this like risky play again. It's exactly how it started. It's like full circle. I don't have clients. We're just starting over. We're just going to figure this thing out. I reached out to old clients. It all kind of picked back up. And you get to see like the humble beginnings, essentially. And so then it kind of evolved into what it is now, where I'm like, okay, I'm going to show my week, and you're just going to get it for what it is. Like, maybe this week I do some cold calls and try to get some clients. Maybe it's just me at the house all week, no work. What am I doing? I'm posting on Instagram. But ultimately, like, the idea is to just be fully, fully, fully transparent. I think people are kind of now falling out of love with these, like, the guru era we were in, the aura era, the fake it till you make it, hustle culture, all these things. And we just want real people. What is really going on? You know, I haven't had a single shoot this week. Like, that's the reality of it. So it's kind of just like evolved into that, of just like, that's what I enjoy watching. I like watching people like David Moorfield and others, where it's just like, this is just what's going on. And you extract whatever information you want from it. I'm just feeding it to you. And yeah, I think like that's like the most compliments I get from people just DMing me and saying, you know, love the transparency, love how real it feels. And that's ultimately like the biggest compliment I can get, because that's the whole idea, is like, talk about everything I can. Talk about money, talk about how I get clients, talk about where I get clients, all these things. Like, that's just the idea, is just like, what's that saying? Like a rising tide raises all ships, or something like that.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. High tide raises all ships. Yeah.
Yes,
Love
exactly.
It.
So, you know, I get good information and advice from people in the comments and stuff. And so it's like, it's just a full circle. We're all trying to make it. We're all trying to do the next thing to make the next paycheck and just survive in this world. And so, yeah, ultimately, a long-winded way to answer your question, I think people are just thirsty for transparency.
Right. I love it. And I'm trying to do the same thing with this show here. Like, I gain so much from seeing people just be super honest and super transparent about what they have going on. And it's super inspiring to just hear people that you look up to, or are in a what you presume as a better spot than you in life and whatnot, and in their career, and being able to take things and be like, all right, I can, that's something I can relate to is huge. And I think it gives everyone that extra kick of energy going forward. So you mentioned before you jump back into freelancing, you were working like a proper video job. I work at a Fortune 100 marketing agency
nice.
during the day. Like, it's it's work. It's video work, but it's work. And so I'm someone that's trying to build that freelance business back up as well at this point. What was the transition like for you going from the 9 to 5 video work into freelance, and what kind of advice do you give to people that are doing that for the first time?
So yeah, this is like one of the biggest questions I get is how do I transition from full-time somewhere else into freelance for myself? And to be fully transparent, like, I am married and I have a wife who makes money. And so I wasn't just jumping in and being like, well, we're just going to figure this thing out. I got no money, but we're going to make it work. Like, we had a plan B, and we have an ability to pay our bills if I don't make money and stuff. Now it's a little different. She's also a freelancer now. She wasn't at the time, but essentially it came down to just deciding like, okay, I want to do this again. I want to go back into freelance. I think like this is my calling. I think I'm much better. I don't like rigid schedules. I don't like complacency and stuff. And so it was like, decision number one is, do I really want to do this? Like, and break it all the way down. Like, look at the overview. Okay. I think people get so infatuated with, I get my own schedule. I wake up when I want, I work 3 days this week and make a month's worth of pay. Like, people get infatuated with that, but no one like thinks about how do you get to that and what is everything else behind the scenes of that. And it is long hours every day. Like, I will say today I played a lot of my Switch just to take a rest day, but normally it is vlogging, editing the vlog, reaching out to clients, reaching out to people who are trying to collab on the YouTube channel, making Instagram content, writing emails, all kinds of things. And I think the biggest thing is like, you lose your ability to have habits, essentially, is like been the toughest thing. So like, I think the biggest thing I missed from working full time was that I got to every day have the same schedule. I worked out every day. I did eat at the same time every day, came home every day at the same time, all that. So like, that was a big sacrifice now that we still struggle with. But I think, again, so number one is just like, figure out if this lifestyle is actually good for you. And number two, you have to decide whether you're okay with stressful financial months. And so that's another big thing people don't talk about. I want to say it was the first year. No. It was right after we got married. The first year we got married, my grandma gave me, it was like right at Christmas. My grandma gave me $50 to go buy my cousin a gift for her. And this is like 8 years ago. I was at a gas station. I went to go get gas in the vehicle and the card declined. Opened up my bank account and I had negative $35. And I remember getting back in the truck, closing the door, and I just started crying because I was like, what am I doing? Like, I'm married. I got this woman counting on me. Like, we want to have a family one day. All these things. I've got no money. It's Christmas. I can't even buy Christmas presents for my mom or my grandparents or anything. Like, it was like one of the lowest I felt in a while. You got to be prepared for moments like those. Like, do you know yourself well enough to know how you're going to handle a situation like that? Like, because there are going to be times where things just look bleak. Now, you may be smarter than me, and my buddy Jose, he's someone I look up to a lot whenever it comes to like finances. He left his like really good paying job after he had built up a huge like nest egg that he could fall back on, and after he had clients and all these things. So I would say he did it a much more prepared way. But I think like to make that transition, you have to like be okay with days like that. And then lastly, it's like you got to be okay with like doing the stuff you don't want to do. The cold calls, the cold outreach, showing up to businesses and car dealerships and things like that and saying, hey, my name is Jared. I do video. Are you interested? Putting yourself out there. I genuinely think if you're struggling to find clients, you need to be putting yourself out there. The YouTube videos started out as a way for me to market myself. And since then, it's evolved from that. But I remember like 3 or 4 times I got jobs. People would email me, hey, I saw your vlogs. We're looking for somebody in Dallas. I'd love to work with you. And so it's like, People, I say it all the time in the vlogs, people cannot hire you if they don't know who you are. And so it's essentially a culmination of just a bunch of things. It's like, I think more so it has to come down to mentally, are you the type of person who can handle this stuff? Because when it's successful and things are working out, it's easy to glorify and go, I want that. But go back to the old vlogs, man, or go talk to other people and see what they're doing when they first start out, and like go look at how glorious it looked whenever you were making $2,000 a month. You know, you got $5,000 in bills. So
Absolutely. Yeah, and I realized that too. I think, like I said, I've been following along with the videos since then, since you were cold calling dealerships and stuff. And it was funny as when you agreed to do this, I went back and watched some of those videos, and I was like, man, this was only like a year ago, 2 years ago. Like, it's to see how much growth that you've come across in that amount of time. And like I said in the intro, it's just from putting the work in and putting the hours in and being ready and available to do those kind of things. Actually, I was thinking of you today. I had a meeting earlier with a car dealership.
Oh, sick.
To do social content, and that was like the first thing I thought of. So you are always, giving your advice and your opinions, things that have worked for you and what you're kind of thinking about as you make these decisions for your business on the YouTube channel. You've also been very transparent at times about what you make, how you price things. Humor me a little bit here. If you have a client like I did today, they don't really know what they're looking for. We want, maybe 2 reels a week. We want to maybe a promotional video every month. How would someone first time getting clients and they're meeting with people who don't really know what they need for video and what they should charge or be paying someone for video? How would you structure out like a retainer client or something for someone that's getting into video production for the first time?
Yeah. So I think ultimately, like for me, I'll just to shoot it straight, like it took me a while to figure out, and I'm probably below the rate I should be charging, but at the moment right now, typically my rate is $1,100 for the day, and that comes with camera, audio, lighting, whatever. Now it may be bumped up if there's no other crew or something. It may be $1,500 or something. I just locked in a job, I think for next week possibly, for $1,500, but they want me to bring the audio and manage the audio plus cameras, all that. So full transparency, that's my day rate. 9 times out of 10, I get paid $1,100 on a typical shoot. When it's esports related, it's 9 times out of 10 about $700 to $900 a day. So give or take. Now, a lot of people will charge their day rate for them to show up plus gear on top of that. So $1,100 would be the DP, but if you want me to bring my camera, that's another $500, something like that. For me, I've just found it easy and comfortable and consistent to go $1,100 a day. I'll show up. I'm going to cover your needs. Ultimately, at the end of the day, if you're trying to price something out and you're trying to figure out everything, you have to figure out first what are their needs. Because the analogy I always give, if you go to a mechanic and your car's making a weird noise, if you pull up to the mechanic and the mechanic goes, what do you think's wrong with it? I don't know, dude, it's making this funny noise. And he goes, well, do you have any idea what it could be? That's not why I brought it to you, right? So it's like, I'm bringing it to you because I have a problem and I need you to be the solution to my problem. So when they're coming to you and they're going, hey, we need videos, the problem isn't that they need somebody to hit record. Okay, their cousin Stacy could do that. The solution that they're trying to use you for, the solution you need to be, what are you doing with these videos? What are you trying to accomplish? I understand you need videos, but why? Are you trying to organically grow a business? Do you need videos for ads? Are you just trying to post more on social media so people find you? And then it's like diving deeper. If I'm making these videos and we're posting, am I coming up with the videos? Are you coming up with the videos? Do you have a tone you're trying to set? So you really have to get down in the nitty gritty and figure out how much work it's going to be. I would say for most people, I think it's just coming up with like a retainer price that you feel comfortable with, and everything fluctuates. You can go up and you can go down. Like people get so rigid about you have to charge this much, or some people are like, my rate's $1,000 and I'm not going below it. And it's like, I got, I don't want to say chewed out or nothing, but I had a guy, tell me that I'm the problem with the economy for filmmaking because my typical rate's $1,100. I took a job for $700, but it was only 2 hours and it was like 20 minutes away. So it's like, I'm not about to scoff at $700 for less than 3 hours of work. Like, I'm not that guy. I'm taking the money, right? So you have to be able to go, okay, that is acceptable to me, right? And when it comes to figuring out your client, got to figure out what they need. What's the solution you need to be? What's the problem that they have? After you have it laid out, let's just give an example. Let's say the dealership goes, hey, we need to grow this page. Okay, we're trying to sell cars and we want people to come here and sell cars. It's your job to go, okay, well, what sells the cars? Okay, you need to come off as friendly. What do we think of car dealerships? We think of little snaky guys who show up in their suits and they try to sham you, right? So we need to offset that. How do we make you look funny, inviting, whatever it may be? So we're going to set the tone there. You need to be posting 3 times a week, okay? Like that's what is going to get you growth. And then in your mind, you're calculating all this. Okay, one reel, that may take you, let's say, 30 minutes to edit. But you just have to figure out what your rate is worth. $100 for 30 minutes? That's pretty good. And so you figure that out. You figure out what your rate of editing work is, and you just break it down by how many reels you're making. And then you just schedule out and script out this work ahead of time. So you should have a day rate. Let's say your day rate's $1,100. You are telling the client, hey, I'm going to come in on the first of the month. We're going to knock out all the videos we need to do. It's going to be $1,100 for that day, plus editing. If I'm scripting it out, that's pre-production. Figure out what your pre-production cost is. It could be $600-$700. And with AI, it takes you 10 minutes, to be honest, to get at least ideas going. But that's essentially what it is. It's you navigating what your time is worth, what the value of this client is, what they're asking for, what they need, how big of a solution you have to be, because you need to charge more if they need you to be A to B. Are you the full production house? You're scripting, you're editing, you're shooting everything, you charge more. But if they go, hey, Susan's going to post the videos and edit them up, Lacey's going to make the scripts, we just need you to come in and shoot it, cool. You could be flexible because you're not doing as much work. So I know it's not like the best answer. It's kind of a roundabout answer. But for me, I just calculate how much time am I putting into it? What's the dollar amount that makes me go, okay, this is worth it? And you have to learn to be non-emotional with the money. If they walk away, you just got to be okay with that. You don't go chasing down a client. If you say 1,000 and they say, oh, sorry, we're not interested, our budget's 400, don't go, okay, never mind, I'll do it for 400. That's fine. You can walk it back and say, okay, well, for 400, let's talk. I could do it for 400. You're just not going to get everything at that $1,000 price, right? So, it's just pretty common knowledge, but I would say it's just finding out what you're comfortable with and how much you need to make. And it can go deeper than that because it's also just like the conversation of working with people to build a portfolio and working with people to build a network.
Right.
If you're talking to a car dealership that seems well connected and they're popular and they're whatever, maybe it's worth taking the financial hit just so you can get in there and start having conversations with other people. Then you can go to, Mike over at Chevy dealership and say, hey man, we've been working well together. I was just curious. Do you have any other recommendations for other dealerships around here or anybody else that might be interested? Whatever. You know what I mean? You could just
right.
There's a lot of ways to work out.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I appreciate that too, because there's definitely a lot of, I don't know if pocket checking is the way to call it, but people that are super, in they feel strongly about people taking less than their day rate for things. Mm-hmm. And I agree with you where you just have to weigh out the options of, what do I gain? Is it always have to be financial? Can it be connections? Can it be, and also, sometimes $600, $700, $800 just isn't something to scoff at. And it's just, we're all trying to do it.
And I think we lose sight of that money because we think of everything as a day rate and we go, oh, my day rate's $1,100. And then someone comes at me with 600. It's like, oh, how dare you? But it's like, I think we lose sight of how great of an opportunity it is. Now, obviously, if they're asking for a ton of work for whatever, you weigh it out. But the point I'm trying to make is people get so uptight and like you say, pocket watching about just the semantics of these things. And at the end of the day, if it's 2 hours of work for $600, sign the check. I'm in.
Right. So. There's always a time to walk away, but sometimes, sometimes if someone's offering you, 70% of your day rate, well, that's 100% more than not working that day.
100%.
So it just kind of, weigh out the options, walk away when you should, but also consider some other things. So while you've while you built this freelance career, you've also started Film Club Productions, full on production company. And that seems to be a large portion of what you're, pressing for now and where you see your future going. When you started a proper production company, what changed for you? And what was that mindset shift like, changing from just a freelance creative to now becoming a creative entrepreneur, where it's more than just, doing a great product and getting paid for it, but it's the marketing, it's the whole back end business aspect. And how did you make that mental shift?
Yeah, I mean, I think initially I made the mental shift and I was way immature about it because I didn't realize how much harder it would be to be a production company. And even to this day, like, I say I'm a production company, but I rarely do anything production company wise because I don't build myself as a production company the way I should. And I think a lot of it comes down to just like I'm stretched so thin in all these different places that I don't have time to go get spec ads and do all these things to reach out and stuff. And so that part's very difficult. It's very difficult to set myself up proper to get the right people. I think I have great content on my website, but I don't market it well enough. And it's kind of taken I wouldn't say taken a back seat. Like, I've continued to grow the Film Club brand, and I have a lot more like ideas with Film Club in general as opposed to just a production company. But I would still say I'm more of a freelancer than anything. I get a few production gigs, mainly with esports. Like, I got to go to Japan to do Apex. That was a production company. I had to come up with everything and build the crew and all that. So like that was my first, not my first, but like that's the only like soiree I've had with like being a proper production. But I will say it's just the tonal shift. It just is a greater job that you take on, fulfilling the roles, getting the right people in the right place, the paperwork, the previs, the post-production, all these things. It's so much more difficult than show up to a shoot, record it, upload it, get paid. Like, it's just, there's a lot more to it. And so, yeah, I'd say I'm definitely taking it slow. I'm not rushing it. I'm just weighing my options every day and trying to make it happen. My wife is actually getting ready to join me in marketing and handling all of that because she's very good at that stuff. She owns a marketing agency. And so we're just going to see how that builds. And also we're trying to translate that into the film club meetups that looking to do this year. I got like 3 more planned this year. And so, yeah, just Film Club as a brand, trying to grow it, and whether the production company blossoms and becomes successful, or just kind of is there every now and again. It's hard to say, but yeah, right now, full transparency, I'm kind of just like a glorified freelancer, I'm like right caught in the middle.
Awesome. Yeah, it's a cool and very difficult, shift that I think a lot of people underestimate and think that, all you got to, once you establish your LLC, all of a sudden things change for you.
Yeah.
And you mentioned you do a lot of work in gaming and esports, and that seems to be like a large passion of yours, and you get to travel and do a lot of the cool things. And you've also talked a bit about you're a husband and a father. How do you balance doing something so cool? Like, this is the stuff people see online. You go to Japan and they're like, that's so cool. That's so awesome. But they're not seeing the behind the scenes of, well, now your wife has more of a responsibility at home. Things at home are being left behind. How do you balance finding those jobs and being able to accept some of those travel jobs? I think even you mentioned it in one of your recent videos about traveling a lot and, maybe thinking about turning down jobs that were going to get you out of town. Yeah. With myself, I have a girlfriend and want to get married and have a family. So I'm always interested in hearing how people manage that workload of chasing their career and traveling for work and being super adamant about the things that you want to do, but also managing the family time at home.
Yeah. So I think like Morgan is extremely supportive, always has been. If I get a job that takes me to Japan or whatever, she's like, cool. Like, do you need help packing or whatever? So I've never felt pressure from her. And yeah, earlier this year, in January, I was gone for 28 days, which is the longest I've ever been gone. And at the end of that 28 days, I'd got another gig that was possibly going to happen in Mexico for like 3 more days, like straight fly home, fly out. And I turned it down because, one, I think mentally I was just done. I was so cooked. I couldn't even begin to think about customs and all that. So just had to turn it down. And I had made so much money that month already, I could feel comfortable being like, okay, I can walk away from this. Like, I don't have to take every penny that comes through. But then number 2, part of that was just like, yeah, I was ready to see my son, spend time with him. It's not fair to him that I'm gone for a month. and it's not fair to my wife. She was suffering with sickness and he got sick and she has work to do and other responsibilities and stuff. So it's very difficult on her as well. And so it's kind of just having conversations. When I told her, I said, hey, this company reached out about going to Mexico. She was transparent. She was just like, you can definitely take that job if you feel like you need to. It's money in our pocket. She's like, just know I will not be angry if you don't take it either. And that was basically her way of saying, like, I'd prefer if you came home, but I understand, right? So just reading into that and being like, okay, I think everybody agrees this is not, like, it's time to take a break. Especially because it was like from Japan to a 5-day road trip to a 7-day shoot in Dallas and then back into San Francisco for like 6 days or 5 days or something. So, I mean, it was a ton of travel. And so when I'm home, like right now, this is work hours. My son, we pick him up at 5 o'clock, so an hour and a half or so. When he's home, there may be times I am working. I have to finish up something. Maybe I have to edit the vlog or send emails. But I try to get all that done when we get home. And then two, we really try to prioritize him whenever he is home. Again, there may be days. Last night was one of those days, one of those nights where he was watching TV, playing the Switch, playing on the iPad. We had so much stuff we had to get done. And, we have to look at ourselves sometimes and go, okay, this has to get done. This is for the betterment of our family. It's just what we're going to have to do today. But for the most part, when he gets home, we try to spend time with him, take him to the park, hang out with him just as much as we can. Love hanging out with him. And so just want him to grow up and know, like, work was never more important than him. That's the biggest thing. Just when he comes in and I'm working on something, if he has a question or he wants to talk to me about something, and I pause everything I'm doing and I acknowledge him. And so, yeah. And same thing with my wife. We have to have a conversations with each other sometimes about like, hey, I'm tired. I need a break, whatever. Or maybe it's just like, hey, I need a date night. Like, we have not done anything together in a while. And so really, ultimately, it is communication. I mean, just communication, and having the right partner who understands, like, this is work. She knows, like, me going and traveling that much, I get to go to cool places, right? But I don't sound like I'm out exploring and doing a lot. It's a lot of work. And she views it as, okay, Jared has to go work. So when I get home, she's not throwing the kid in my hands and be like, you take care of him. You were just blah, blah, blah. She gets it. It's like, hey, do you need a nap? Do you need a break? Like, whatever. Are you tired? And again, it's just communication. And so, yeah, I think ultimately that's what it comes down to, is just like setting the tone. Like, hey, this might be what it is. But yeah, I try to prioritize family when I'm with family. And then when I'm at work, I work.
Absolutely. Yeah, and I'm no therapist, but I recently had a conversation with my girlfriend as well that we kind of had that realization also of, like, anytime we've had I don't want to say an argument, but a snag, anything, where things, go wrong in your relationship, almost every single time, it just boils down to communication. Either someone didn't understand what the other person meant or, just took something the wrong. It's always boils down to having good communication. So obviously, you prioritize this time. I always am super interested to hear about. I'm a firm believer that especially when people are trying to do something extraordinary, like yourself, build something from nothing, they can't do it alone. Even if, the work itself is physically being done by one person, there's always a support system somewhere, even if it's just a friend to call at the end of the day. So I'm always, urging people to give their flowers to the people around them who, you've obviously mentioned your family. What are some other things around you that keep you going and are a big bolster to you, and on those tough days really make you feel like you can just keep pushing at this?
Yeah, I 100% agree with you. I think having the right people around you, the right team, whatever, is extremely important. And like I've got a few groups of people. I have like David Moorfield and Peter Mokri. Like, we love talking YouTube together. Peter is extremely supportive. I can't tell you how many times I've gotten on a phone call with him for 2 hours, and he's just like giving me advice and we're just talking and whatever. So like he's like, love talking to him. He's always been very supportive. David, the same with David, like going back and forth between our YouTube analytics and just like ideas that we have and things like that, like, is really, really fun. So when it comes to like content creation and business, like, I really like talking to those guys, love talking to them and whatever. And then I have my buddies from SSG when I work there full time, Blake and Zach. We are best friends and they're the ones that I take to Japan with me, and we do all our esports content together when we can. The dream one day is that all three of us are working under Film Club full time and whatever. So that's like the ultimate goal. But like, we're all three doing different things, and it's really cool how we can all like support the things that each other are doing and give feedback on things. And like they're always watching the vlogs and giving support, and they just show up when I need them to. And like, especially from a creative standpoint, like Zach does a lot of the editing for me on gigs that I don't want to edit or whatever, just pass it off to him. And probably one of the most ruthless people I know when it comes to saying it like it is. Like, he has no problem calling me up and being like, bro, you got to like fix this or get better at this or whatever. And so like having someone to be there for you like that is just awesome. And then, like Blake shows up when you really need him to and stuff. So like there's that. And then obviously I have like the creative network that has come through YouTube and Instagram, and people can post to the story and get ideas and feedback. People in the YouTube comments are great. Anytime I have a question in a YouTube video, like 9 times out of 10, it's going to get answered, and usually very respectfully. And then, yeah, obviously like family, my wife, just a lot of people have like shown a lot of support for this and have just, stuck around and been here for the long haul. Even my buddy Nathan, who doesn't even film video or anything, like he watches every vlog, and he's the one that is set up to shoot me with a paintball gun if I miss a vlog any Monday this year. So I think he watches out of spite. But yeah.
It's good to have those people, especially like that'll in a very physical and visceral way keep you in check is always good to have.
He's dying to shoot me.
Yeah, I have a lot of friends that if I had given them that task, they might not wait for me to miss. They might just do it anyway. So it's something I definitely notice from your work that I've seen, especially throughout the time of following you, is you have a very distinct style. I feel like I watch your videos, I know they're your videos, and if anything, it's only that sense has only grown more for me. It's more and more like, this is Jared's video. One, how has it been to develop that style? I think that's a super critical thing for people to do, to rein in their own voice. That's how you're unique, that's how you're hired, people are hiring you. But also at the same time, I'm sure you get plenty of clients that have restrictions on what they want done creatively. How do you strike that balance of this one, I'm willing to, certain things you're willing to sacrifice on the creative side to keep clients happy, and vice versa?
Yeah. This used to be a pain point a long time ago, because I think it's an ego thing. Early on, I think a lot of creators have this. Their ego gets in the way of what the client wants. And when you're looking at this from a business perspective, you can offer your input and you can offer your creative ideas, but it's up to the client whether they want to go that direction or not. They're paying the bill. It's their product that they're hiring you for. And you have to get out of your own way and let the client do their thing. And I think one thing that helped me is like, if I work on a really cool project that I'm happy about and I don't like the way the client does it, it's okay. I'll make my own cut if I really care that much about it. But 9 times out of 10, I get done with it. I'm like, this is good enough. Like, this showcases what I want. And then I move on. Right. So there's also like the corporate clients, like, you're not going to get very creative with those, but that's a paycheck to me. I don't care. Like that. I'm not taking those jobs because it needs to like hit a creative spark. I'm taking that job because I need to pay the truck bill this month. And so every now and again, I usually say it's probably like, I don't know, 3 to 4 times a year, you get a project where they go, hey, we just want you to take control and do your thing. And that's where you get to just fully flex that muscle. Like, you get to come out of your shell and you just get to produce something really dope and something you could be proud of. And so I think like, you just have to learn to get out of your own way. And if you're going to go into this as a business, like, stop using the word cinematic on your client calls. That's like, you just got to get rid of that in your thinking. The car dealership doesn't want a cinematic video. They want a video that's going to make them money. And so, yeah, I think for me, I've just finally learned how to separate my emotions from all of that. I don't take it personally if I have an idea and the client doesn't like it. They have ideas too. They have their own vision of how things work, and they probably know their business better than you do. Yeah, I think it's just like, drop the ego, learn to get out of your own way, and learn that to make it as a business, not every shoot is going to be your Mona Lisa or an Instagram worthy video to post. But yeah.
These days, a lot of us, we love grain and halation, but sometimes, sometimes when I got into the advertising and marketing world, that was one of the first things from some mentors there, is like, sometimes just clean video and crisp audio is this is what we're looking for. And I
Yeah.
think more people need to take stock of that at times. Obviously, don't get me wrong. I love seeing people's work that's super stylized and inspiring, but there are times. And so kind of going off of that, I'm sure that was it can be a large pain point for everybody experiencing that. What are some other things you're realizing now, going back and forth with clients, that are kind of the biggest perspective shifts? Like what are the largest gaps in perceptions about creative work between yourself and the clients? Where are people, what do clients not understand about creative, and vice versa? What do creatives need to understand more about the clients?
I think from a client to us perspective, I feel like we're one of the few fields or businesses in the world where we are hired for our expertise and then told how to do it. Like going back to the mechanic. If I pull up to the mechanic, I really don't even care about what's wrong with the vehicle. All I care is, can you fix it? And how much is it going to be, right? So when I pull up there, I'm not over his shoulder telling him what wrench to use or how to fill the oil back up or anything like that. I just let him do his job. But I feel like as videographers, photographers, creatives in general, it's like, hey, Jared, we want to hire you for this. And I say, okay, cool. And they're like, well, do you have any ideas? Yeah, here's my idea. We were actually thinking something like this, and we'd rather we do this. It's like, okay, cool, well, whatever. It's like that part is very difficult, where it's like, I think the clients need to learn how to approach it. Like, hey, we want to hire you because we trust you behind the camera, and we trust that the job will get shot the way we want it. Or, hey, we want to hire you for your creative experience and your ideas, and we trust that you can come up with good ideas and execute those ideas. I think it's just that I think that initial conversation could separate so many problems that creatives have of feeling ousted about like a client criticism and stuff. But I will say, from our point of view to the client as well, number one is communication and accountability. Communicate with the client. When I go to shoots, and let's say it's like setting up an interview, especially if it's a new client, one of the things I do, I get there and I text them, hey, made it to the shoot. Especially, if they're not if they're not with me, if it's an out of state client or something. Hey, I'm at the shoot. Perfect. Thanks. Hey, here's the setup so far. This is what it looks like. What do you think? Do you mind if you move that light in the back? Like, we don't like the way that looks. Got it. Here's an update. Perfect. We love it. Cool. Set the talent down. Here's what it looks like. Whatever. Yep. Love it. Cool. Green light. Right? Hey, just wrapped on the shoot. Everything went great. Mark's a funny guy. Hope it works out that we can do this again. You know what I mean? It's like, learn to communicate with your client. Learn to let them know everything's going good. Like, if you order Domino's, you check in your Domino's tracker to see if your pizza's there, right? Like, you want the steps to know everything is working out. And so I think like creatives got to understand, like, you have to communicate with your client. You are a sales service, and people want to know how well the service is going. You do that, you're going to get hired back a million times, and you're going to set the precedence that you're to be trusted. And once you bring the client in and give them their opinion, they're just going to want to work with you more, because now they feel collaborative and not like you're just telling them what's going to happen.
Right. I like that a lot. Making people feel a part of the process is something I've definitely learned is a huge asset, and being able, even if they're not, frankly, making people feel a part of the team is always something that's going to be beneficial in the long run. We especially, like we've talked about, sometimes you just got to pay the bills, and you have clients that you do that, it's work at the end of the day. How do you keep yourself, if you get we've all been through stretches where the last 4 shoots I did were for clients. There was no input on my end. This was just go get the job done, get it done right. When you have those times where you're feeling uninspired, where do you find yourself looking to find more inspiration? Are you a movie guy, a TV guy? Are you looking on social media? What are you doing to kind of peak your creative things in your brain and keep that going?
Yeah. So, I mean, like, I think going back to earlier, I have just gotten to the point now where I just have the skill where I can just separate like the creative from like the business, and I don't need to be inspired to go fulfill a job. I've got this really good corporate client that I do a lot of work with. I've talked about him in the vlogs and stuff, and like, the work isn't anything crazy. You're not going to see me posting on Instagram, and it's not really exciting. Like, there's nothing exciting about it, but they're great paying jobs. They pay me up front. The client's extremely easy to work with. So in that instance, I'm inspired by how great of a client that is. When I'm looking at it from a business standpoint, that inspires me. I am inspired to show up and do a great job because I want to make them happy, because they've been good to me, so I want to be good to them. And so, in my opinion, I think that's where people get it wrong sometimes, is feeling like you have to be inspired. Like, no, you just have to do your job. Like, just show up and do your job. Like, it's not going to be a Martin Scorsese film every single time. In fact, I'm going to argue and say for majority of people, it's going to be 9.5 times out of 10, you're going to have a job that you're not just stoked on, right? Unless you find a niche that just has you so excited and you attack that niche. But even then, you're going to get hired for a job in that niche and be like, man, I would love to do it this way instead. And it just is what it is. Like, that's just what we signed up for. And so I think a lot of people like need to learn, like, you don't have to be inspired or motivated or whatever. You just need to be disciplined and understand what the client wants, fulfill their needs, get the paycheck. And if you really want to get creative, go do your own creative project. Go do a spec work. Go meet up with friends and make something. But stop relying on clients to basically fund your dream project.
Definitely. We've gone back and forth a little bit about, things that people getting into the film industry, maybe misconceptions or things that we feel like people are maybe missing the mark on a little bit when they first get in. What is an investment that you think young filmmakers, young creatives, content creators, whatever it may be, can make that it will have the biggest impact of their career? An investment could be, money, it could be gear, it could be time, whatever you want to take that as. What's something you think, young people or people early in their career should be doing more that'll pay off in the long run?
I think it's investing in the people around you, because, let's say you're 20 years old and you're super into film. Like, you have the ability and you're in the perfect situation to go and meet other people who are excited about film, or that you can get excited to be filmed. And like, what I say is, like, invest in your skill set and use that as your personality to build relationships with people. And you have to think of it like a long-term investment, which is very difficult when you're young to think long-term. But when you invest in people and you invest your time into people and you build proper, good relationships and you become the video guy, 2 years, 5 years, 10 years, you are going to be getting hit up for some crazy things, because your buddy Billy, who is just started engineering school, in 8 years, when he's been graduated and he's, made his way mid-level into the engineering company he's at, and he has the ability to bring somebody in, or he makes friends with the marketing lady there, and all of a sudden they need you to film a commercial for them. You know what I mean? It's like, I think people just need to invest the time into the people around them, build up friendships, and build it organically. Don't build it up with the intention of, I'm going to make money off these people. But I think, like, obviously, invest in your skills, invest in your gear, invest in all that, yada, yada. I don't have to tell you that. You know that. I think, like, I wish I would have been told earlier on how important the people I'm meeting at that time could be for now. Like, if I would have focused on that 10 years ago when I was 20, now when I'm 30, Lord knows who I'd know, where I would have been, where they would have taken me, And so I think, like, yeah, that was my mistake. And it wasn't for a lack of, like, not caring about these people or whatever. It was just, I was just on to the next thing. I didn't keep up relationships. It was like, thanks for the paycheck. Hit me up if you need me again, right? And I leave. And the people who make it are the ones who build those long-lasting relationships.
Yeah, I absolutely. I got to echo that too. I feel like that's something that I definitely dropped the ball on too early on in my career. Like, I went to film school, and unfortunately, for a lot of reasons, also my senior year was COVID. So that obviously throws a wrench in some things too. But at the same time, I could have done a better job of keeping up with people there and building those connections deeper with the people there. And, these days, basically all my work comes from, hey, I got your name from so-and-so around. And the value to just being a good friend and being a good person is wildly undervalued.
Yes.
And so that's something that I definitely want to echo. And show the importance of to people as well. Going forward for you, what are the goals, long term? We're already talking, people can't see long term. It's very difficult to think long term. Obviously, anything can change on any given day. But when you look forward in life, what is inside of work, outside of work? What does it mean for you to have a fulfilling life? And what are the things that you're looking forward to?
Yeah, I think like the film club meetups, like I was talking about. I just got off the call right before this with the guy we're kind of doing it together, and we were just kind of talking about our ambitions and our dreams and stuff. And I think like in a perfect world, like obviously I'd make money doing video and build that up, and then I really just love pouring into people. I know it's like a cliche thing to say, but I think I just love like helping people understand that they have the ability to do the things that they want to do, and then not only just like motivational speak, but like giving them the knowledge and the info. And I think that's why I love the YouTube videos so much, because I get so many messages and DMs and people in the comments on YouTube just being like, love your videos. They've helped me so much. Like the amount of times I get people saying like, it's given me the courage to try, or whenever I'm feeling down and don't know where to do, like what to do, I go and watch your videos and it helps me push forward. Like that stuff makes me feel so good, because just like anybody will say that they're just a regular human being, right? They're no one special, whatever. And like, that's how I feel. I'm no one special, just a guy who has no idea what's going on and no idea what I'm doing, and just presenting that. And it helps people. And so like the film club meetups, like in a perfect world, would become bigger and a place for people to meet their best friends, people to meet, their next business partner, to shape an idea that changes cinema forever, whatever it may be. Like just fostering these think tanks for people to like push the boundaries forward, because even YouTube is isolating. It's just somebody watching it from the comfort of their own room. But how do we push that further to get people to meet each other? And like you said earlier, like you get jobs from people connecting you to those jobs. And I'm the same way. A lot of my best gigs are from somebody giving it to me. And like that is a gift that you like, I mean, it's the best gift you could possibly give somebody, is like passing them work, passing them livelihood. And so, yeah, I would say like for me, next 5-10 years, I don't know. It's just like building up something that ushers in the next generation to not think like so much like creatives, but to think like entrepreneurs in how to turn this into something that they can live off of. Because I would much rather be doing a boring corporate event, in a day, as opposed to fixing somebody's toilet like I was doing a long time ago, right? Like those two boring days are completely different from each other. And I would rather be bored doing what I love than, bored doing something I hate.
I appreciate that a lot. And I think the meetups are super cool. I was seeing something recently. It was like articles about how Gen Z is like not drinking alcohol anymore. Yeah. And which, I'm not a big, I'll drink from time to time. I'm not a big drinker. But the real point that people were debating back and forth was, it's interesting that this is going away and nothing is replacing it, in the way of they're not going out anymore. They're not meeting people anymore. Everything's through a phone screen now. We're losing a lot of human connection. So dude, I love that you guys are doing these meetups, and I think that people should really definitely consider, even if they're not in the area, trying to make it, or finding things in your area that you're able to get FaceTime with people, I think is invaluable and something that should not be taken for granted. So definitely appreciate you guys doing that kind of stuff.
Yeah, we love it. I mean, it was so sick to like, I think we had like 80 plus people show up, and I think we only promoted it for like maybe a week and a half or something. And we both just looked at each other when the night was over and like, people want this. This is what like the community wants. This is what we want. And like, it's kind of funny you said that, because we bought all this beer thinking all these people would drink it. Dude, we left with I gave like a 24 pack to my neighbor. Cause like, I was like, I'm not drinking all this. Like, there's no way. Like, I just went on a beer cleanse too, and like all this stuff. So it's kind of funny. Like, I'm sitting here thinking all these people are going to drink this beer and whatever. But end of the day, yeah, there was a lot of young people too. And it was really cool to like have these conversations with them and watch them mingle and trade Instagram accounts and stuff. And, I think like, people want it, whether they realize it or not. And I think with the social media age we're in, like the connection to humans, like humanity is getting lost. And I think for us, we were kind of in the golden age where we grew up playing with our friends outside and whatnot. But like when I was 13, we're hopping on playing Call of Duty with each other too. So it's like we kind of had the best of both worlds, but now it just kind of seems like everybody's online. Like, and I'm thankful
Right.
for it. I met my best friends online. They live all over the United States, and we've been best friends for years. But yeah, I agree. I think people want to get out and they want to have human connection.
Yeah. I think we definitely grew up in the golden age of being on the cusp of all the internet and everything. We got to reap all the benefits with very few of the drawbacks that now are just intrinsically involved with it.
Yeah.
I just got two more questions for you. I really appreciate you being
good.
generous with your time. Going back to the people going to these meetups, I'm sure a lot of them are young and trying to build their career. What do you see is the mental shift and that separates people who want to be a filmmaker and the people who are a filmmaker, the people that go out and do it? And what do you think separates those two things? And I feel like that's a large jump for a lot of people to make. And it's a bold declaration to go out and start saying to people, hey, I'm a filmmaker. And, that gives people a lot of anxiety, especially when they haven't been doing it for a long time. So what do you think, is the difference between those two? And what kind of advice would you give to someone that wants to make that leap and establish themselves as that?
I think it's like two things. It's like you have to root out the people that are making you feel that way, because ultimately when it comes to someone going, oh, I'm too embarrassed to post my content. If I asked you and you were being truthful and I said, who makes you feel embarrassed? There's a name that pops in, or a face. There's somebody you're thinking of. And I had this exact same situation before I started posting regularly on Instagram. There was a handful of people. I was like, if they see this, they're going to laugh at me. That I had to get over. And you either root them out because they're bad for you. There's a reason they're laughing at you. Or you get over it and go, okay, they just don't understand, and we move on, right? So like for me, it's like boys being boys type thing. Like, oh, this guy thinks he's an influencer, and we laugh at that, right? So that's something I get over. I'm not going to root these people out. We just get over it. And now they support it and they don't even say anything about it. And so they moved on and we moved on, right? So it's rooting out the people that make you feel that way and surrounding yourself with people that don't make you feel that way and support you. The second part I was going to say is people I think are so terrified of failure. They're so scared to go out and just fall on your face. The video where I go to the car dealerships and I talk to all of them, I don't remember, I think it was like 6 or 7 that day. I got rejected by every single one of them. I didn't get a single call back from any of them. One guy had me make him a video and they just never responded to me. It was a complete failure, right? But it wasn't at the same time, because I went out, I did it, and I love cold approaching. And if I've been wanting to go out and do it, it's more like a summertime activity for me. So I've been itching to go out and do it. But to me, it's like helped me get over that fear of like someone rejecting you, like turning you away, whatever it may be. Like who cares? You have to like get over that, because you're going to fail at so many different things. And I think like genuinely the new gen or whatever lack the confidence. It's like sometimes they're very egotistical, but low confidence. Like they portray all this ego that they can do all these things, but they don't actually have the confidence to push through and make it happen. But I think the majority of people are just so scared to fail or feel like they don't know what to do or what's going on or whatever. And I think like, it's just, you only learn by doing. Like, get out there and do it. Find somebody to mentor you. Like maybe you could find somebody in the area who's down to do like an internship with you for the summer or something. But I think if you genuinely want to make that shift, it just starts by being okay to fail, and it starts by just picking up a camera and shooting everything. I can't remember who said it. It was a director, but there's that quote. It was popular on Instagram for a minute, and it was, if you want to be a director, pick up a camera, shoot something, put your name on it, directed by, and now you're a director. It's that simple. Literally that simple. Like you said you were shooting a video in your apartment to practice, right? Like that is the steps you have to take, the building blocks, the fundamentals to practice and learn. And that's all it takes, is just get out there and try. Turn social media off for 6 months if you have to. Drown out the noise and just go learn, and you'll go so far.
I love that. Yeah, that's great. I mean, I've now unintentionally said this on every episode I've recorded, is the best things in life are on the other side of fear. I really believe it. And it's naturally come up in every conversation I've had here. So, so I love hearing the same thing. And then one last thing for you before you take off. The show's called Someday Soon. So it's, obviously it's about people that are, pursuing something difficult, something that the world has inevitably told them is impossible at some point, and keeping, it's about keeping people inspired and keeping them going. What's something for you in life that is in that category of someday soon, where you're working towards it and you're ready for it, and it's the next thing for you? What is in that someday soon category for you?
I think for me, someday soon, I hope that I can prove to myself that I was right. I think like I've doubted myself for so long, my ideas, I've let so many different opinions come in and make me think that something was too big or too ambitious or stupid or whatever. And time again, when I've pushed through and just did it, the feedback I receive is so good. Like, never in a million years did I think like I would host an event where 80 people would show up and strike up conversations with each other. And it wouldn't have happened if I would have listened to myself and the thoughts that I couldn't do it. And so, yeah, I think for me, it's just like someday soon, I hope I can like literally prove to myself that like my ideas are valid. I'm smarter than I think I am. I'm more creative than I think I am, more successful than I think I am. And I could be more than I think I can be. And so, yeah, hopefully I just ultimately want to use my life as an example to others that it's possible. Like I say, I grew up in a very tiny town on a farm in a small town in Texas and stuff. And yeah, I mean, if I can make it to where I have, and I'm not rich, I don't have the nicest vehicles or biggest house or anything, but I live comfortable. I do what I love. I have time for family, and yeah, hopefully when people watch my content or me or something, they can feel that motivation hit them, that it's just one day at a time, one step at a time, one email at a time. Everything is just one. You just got to do one thing over and over and over and over. And one times 1,000 is still 1,000. So you do something 1,000 times, you're probably going to get pretty good at it.
Appreciate that, man. That's awesome. Thank you so much for coming on and for being vulnerable, not only in this conversation, but on the YouTube channel as well, and in social media in general. I think we need a lot more authenticity and people just being honest and sharing their triumphs and their failures. So quick before you go, let everyone know where they can find you on everything and what they should be looking out for.
Yeah, YouTube at Lens of Jared, Jared. Instagram, same thing, at Lens of Jared. And then I have the production company page at Film Club PROD on Instagram. And yeah, weekly vlog every Monday, going over what I'm doing to build a production company and how I'm trying to survive and get clients and things like that. So if you're interested in that, follow along. Hit me up on Instagram. Hit me up in the comments. I love chatting with you guys. And if you're in Dallas, stay tuned because the meetup should be happening next month.
Beautiful. Yes, definitely look out for those. And especially if the, meetups, leave Dallas, they go anywhere else. Do you have any plans on making the meetups in other cities?
Yeah, I think it probably will be next year before we start entertaining that, like using this year as our kind of like foundation. But absolutely would love to make it kind of a traveling event. And I think like, I don't think there's anything like this happening. I know David Moorfield has his kind of meetups and stuff he does, but we really want to take it to be a meetup and an event and something to celebrate filmmakers and the art of it. And so, yeah, I think people want it. I think the need is there, and we're already in talks with some pretty cool people who maybe want to jump on and support it. So, yeah, we'll see what happens.
Beautiful, man. Well, thank you so much for taking the time. Really appreciate it. Everyone check this guy out. I mean, I'm going to be following along and keeping up with you. So really appreciate you taking the time, man.
Yeah, no, I appreciate it. And thanks for having me on.